Talk about it tonight. When you read a story, you are looking for when the person, or even when you're at a meeting and you got a speaker meeting or somebody is sharing, you're looking for when the person had the spiritual awakening. What happened in their life that changed their perception of God? Or if you prefer, what were they like with their old conception of God? What happened that changed it? And what are they like now with their new conception? What is life like now? So did anybody figure out when Bob had, the reason why I have guys read Bill Wilson, do you guys know who Bob Smith is? He's our co-founder. Fair enough. He's the guy. Bill's 6 months sober, finds in Akron, and his sober date is June 10th, 1935, meaning, and that's when we mark the beginning of Alcoholics Anonymous, meaning we're about to celebrate in 4 months our 90th anniversary. How about that? And it's going to be a big deal. Vancouver, is that right? Listen how big of a deal it is in Vancouver. If you go to Canada and you have a DUI, they're going to let you in. That's a big deal. Have you ever tried to go to Canada with a DUI? They won't let you in. They change. You need what? 2 DUIs? You need 2 DUIs across the board. Okay, so if you only got 1, get going. You can join us. Is that true, Robert? You don't need 2 DUIs. Jeez, I do the jokes. You want to do the jokes, you get your own show. Okay, so the reason why I have guys read Dr. Bob is because it meant a great deal to me. Bill Wilson is struck sober, if you want, around 3-4 days. He has a white light experience. The obsession leaves him. Suddenly the thought of others comes in. His whole thinking changes. Anybody read and find out when was Dr. Bob's moment?
2.5 years.
Yeah. What do you think? When was Dr. Bob relieved of the obsession to drink?
Right after he came back from his bender.
Nope.
And he went out and said that he was sorry. Made his amends.
He makes amends. He doesn't drink again. That's a great point, but that's not when he struck. He still has an obsession to drink.
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Can you read it for us? What happened to him?
Like most of our crowd, I did not get over my craving for liquor much during the first 2.5 years of my abstinence.
Keep reading. It gets better.
It was almost always with me, but at no time have I ever been anywhere near yielding. I used to get terribly upset when I saw my friends drink, and I knew I couldn't, and I knew I could not. So I schooled myself to believe that I thought once I had the same privileges, I had abused it so frightfully that it was withdrawn. So it doesn't behoove me to talk about it, for after all, nobody had ever thrown me down for liquor down my throat.
Catch it? Although he's working with lots of guys, he's not drinking, he's done the steps, he's made the amends, he's still thinking about drinking. And I was much like that. I wasn't plotting drinking anymore, but my sponsor would say, "You look like you want to get drunk." He never said, "You look like you want to drink." He always said, "You look like you want to get drunk. You look like you want to get high." And I'd say, "Yep." And he'd say this to me. He said, "That's okay. He goes, "We can work with that, Paul. Just tell yourself," and this is what I did. It sounds stupid, but it worked. "If I feel this way tomorrow, I'm going to drink. If I feel this way tomorrow, I'm going to drink." And then tomorrow would come, I'd still feel that way, and he'd say, "Good, say it again. If I feel this way tomorrow, I'm going to drink." And he said, "Keep working, keep working, keep working." And I was already working with guys. I was sponsoring guys, and I would think about Jameson, and I would think about a beer, and I would stop to watch beer commercials and look at beer billboards and all of that, and my tongue is hanging out. And what happened to me, 2.5 years sober, I'm sitting in a room of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I thought, I know that guy, I know that guy, I know her, I know him, I've heard his fifth step, he's heard my fifth step. And at 2.5 years sober, I said, I am never drinking again. I said, I don't want to be anywhere but here. And it was awesome. But I had to not drink, I had to not medicate. I couldn't take anything. And so that's why Dr. Bob is very important to me, because I wasn't struck with a white light that said I'm never drinking again at 3 days sober. And I know that some guys are, but I think most guys are more like me and Dr. Bob, where you just keep working, keep working, keep working. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's depressing. I got I'd hear people, I just did my fifth step, and oh my God, it was incredible. Ah! I did my fifth step, and I go, I don't want to kill myself. Look at this crap. Why don't I feel that way? And he'd say, keep going, man, keep going. It hurt my family a lot. I didn't want to leave my family. I wanted to leave my family, but I didn't want to leave my family. I bet that makes sense to some people in here. I want to run, but I didn't run. And my family felt it necessary to keep bringing it up. You know, what had happened, because they wanted to make sure. When I left Hazelden, Hazelden didn't work, but when I left Hazelden, I'll never forget what the outtake guy said. He said, "I wish you a long, slow, painful recovery." Yeah, I know, because if we get it back quick, yeah, we stop working at it. So we got a lot of reading tonight. We have notepads back there. I brought a bunch more notepads. Does everybody have a big book? Does everybody have the set-aside prayer? Can we take a moment and try to quiet ourselves from our day? We'll take a little silence. Prayer. God, please set aside everything I think I know about you, everything I think I know about myself, everything I think I know about others, and everything I think I know about my own recovery. For a new experience with myself, a new experience with others, a new experience with my own recovery, and especially a new experience with you. Amen. Thank you, everybody. How was the food tonight? If you are so inspired and would like to bring food for us next week, let me know. We had somebody brought us food tonight, and you're more than welcome if you're looking for a service commitment. Otherwise, we're going to pass the basket. I might as well do it now while I think about it. Your donation will go to pay for tonight's expenses, and we split it 50-50 with the church. So does that make sense? We pay for, thank you. I don't seem like a broken record. So tonight we're going to read There Is a Solution. How many solutions is there? One solution. There is a solution. Please pay attention to our author here. He's going to give us a little intriguing writing. He's going to tell us there is a solution, and then he's going to talk a lot about the problem. Because if you remember, our first night we put the chapters in order, and we put a half a circle, and the biggest portion of the book is what? Talking about what step? Step 1. So although he's going to try to introduce us to the solution tonight, he's going to wait several pages in our reading because he's going to go back and talk about the problem. We are in the qualifying part of the book. And the qualification is, am I a real alcoholic? Am I a hard drinker? Or am I a moderate drinker? That is the question when you're working with a man or a woman, that they must come to their own decision. You may have a decision on it already. You may sit with a guy and go, man, dude's a real alcoholic. He's got it all. But we don't pronounce. Just like when Ebby comes and sees Bill, what does Ebby tell him? He tells him his story. He doesn't do this. He's not a should-head. You know, Bill, you should get what I got. You should do what I do. I don't know about you, but I have ADD, alcoholic defiance disorder, man. That finger comes out, you should. I go, yeah, I ain't. Yeah, I even wanted to do it till you said I should do it. I was going to do it. I had the tickets and everything, but I ain't doing it now. All right, so who's our first reader? Becky? Okay, there is a solution. Pay attention to the singular words we're going to use. Oh, I'm sorry, we're on page 17. We'll wait for everyone to get there. Okay. Yeah.
Chapter 2, there is a solution, page 17. We of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who were once as hopeless as Bill. Nearly all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem. We are average Americans. All sections of this country and many of its occupations are represented, as well as many political, economic, social, and religious backgrounds. We are people who normally would not mix, but there exists among us a fellowship.
Now catch the word fellowship, small f. He's talking about unrecovered, recovering, and recovered alcoholics. When he takes that small f, he's talking about the whole group. And is there any truer statement than we are people who would normally not mix? I remember at that 2.5 years when I looked at that room, it was like, why am I with these dudes? And I eventually ended up in a 6:30 a.m. meeting in the Hood in Minneapolis, which was an old biker club. And it was like, it was like one of the most beautiful places I'd ever gone. I'd still go. I was like, and the beautiful people. I was there Christmas morning one year. My friend Ben, you've been there, and where'd you go, Chase? Chase has been there. Pretty wild place, isn't it? Yeah. pretty wild place. And the Christmas morning I was sitting there and said, this is the best group of people I'll be with all day. And I'm going to see my kids and my grandkids. And I thought, I love these people. And guess what? I'm one of the people. It's really beautiful. Okay.
A friendliness and an understanding which is indescribably wonderful. We are like the passengers of a great liner the moment after rescue from shipwreck, when camaraderie, joyousness, and democracy pervade the vessel from steerage to captain's table. Unlike the feelings of the ship's passengers, however, our joy and escape from disaster does not subside as we go our individual ways. The feeling of having shared in a common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us, but that in itself would never have held us together. As we are now joined. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution.
Definition of a fact: truth known to be true, undisputable. So here's some guys that were Skid Row drunks that are writing a book saying we are never drinking again. They had it down. We are not drinking, and they were excited. Can you hear the excitement when he writes? Go ahead.
We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism.
Circle that word, action. Alcoholics Anonymous is not for people who need it, not for people who want it. It's for people who do it. Watch the guys who get it. They do it.
An illness of this sort, and we have come to believe it is an illness, involves those about us in a way no other human sickness can. If a person has cancer, all are sorry for him and no one is angry or hurt. But not so with the alcoholic illness, for with it there goes annihilation of all the things worthwhile in life. It engulfs all those whose lives touch the sufferers.
Now here's what happens to my family, how my drinking affects my family.
It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, financial insecurity, disgusted friends and employers, warped lives of blameless children, sad wives and parents. Anyone can increase the list.
And you know what I say? I just drink alone. Right? I just get a hotel room and I just drink alone. Right? But look at all this stuff. All that comes true when I'm sitting in a hotel room drinking alone.
We hope this volume will inform and comfort those who are or who may be affected. There are many. Highly competent psychiatrists who have dealt with us have found it sometimes impossible to persuade an alcoholic to discuss his situation without reserve. Strangely enough, wives, parents, and intimate friends usually find us even more unapproachable than do the psychiatrist and the doctor.
When we started out our first night, I said sponsorship is the foundation of Alcoholics Anonymous. Here's the paragraph that really states it.
But the ex-problem drinker who has found this solution, who is properly armed with facts about himself, can generally win the entire confidence of another alcoholic in a few hours. Until such an understanding is reached, little or nothing can be accomplished.
There's some math there, by the way, too. If you're tired of my long shares and meetings, I'm trying to win the confidence of another suffering alcoholic. So if I go on for 5 minutes about how I've overcome my alcoholism, my obsession to drink, it takes about, if you want to do that math, a few hours is 3 hours or 180 minutes. You divide that by 5. How many shares do I have to do before I convince Jeff that I know what the hell I'm talking about? So if you sit in a meeting and the guy goes on and on, here he goes again, here goes Lou again, oh my God. He's not talking to me, and that's quite all right, because there's somebody who's going to go, okay, Lou, I've had enough. I'm all in. Tell me what I got to do. Right? So listen closely to the shares and meetings, and if they're irritating you, maybe they're talking to you. Yeah. All right. The recovered alcoholics, like I went to one meeting and they had a bell, I just couldn't wait for the bell to go, man. I'm sharing in this one, man. I will ring that bell. Yeah, please don't put bells in my meetings, because we're saving lives. I don't want to talk about the bumper on my Mercedes. I want to talk to you about there is a solution. And that's why we're sharing in meetings. And first I got to convince the guy. I know what it's like to drink when you don't want to drink, and to drink and then not be able to stop drinking once I start. I know what it's like, and I don't do it anymore. Here's how. Can't wait to tell you.
That the man who is making the approach has had the same difficulty, that he obviously knows what he is talking about, that his whole deportment shouts at the new prospect that he is a man with a real answer, that he has no attitude of holier than thou, nothing whatever except the sincere desire to be helpful, that there are no fees to pay, no axes to grind, no people to please, no lectures to be endured. These are the conditions we have found most effective. After such an approach, many take up their beds and walk again.
So if you're wondering, how do I sponsor people? He just gave us a real nice tip there on how not to. That we don't lecture, we don't have access to grind, we don't gossip about other people, we just tell our story. This is what it was like. This is what I was like.
None of us makes a sole vocation of this work, nor do we think its effectiveness would be increased if we did. We feel that the elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. A much more important demonstration of our principles lies before us in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs.
And the best way to say that to somebody is don't ask me if I'm sober. Ask my wife, ask my kids, ask my coworkers. And he's talking about did you catch it? The elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. All I wanted to do when I came in was stop drinking. And the drinking was eliminated, and guess what happened? Man, my life got really hard. Really hard. And I'm not drinking. Will you lay off me? I'm not drinking. After a while, they bring us booze. I know many of wives that have brought a six-pack home. Please, drink. Yeah. Anybody have that happen? A loved one, please, already, drink. You stop chasing that husband in the bar, though, I know that.
All of us spend much of our spare time in the sort of effort which we are going to describe. If you are fortunate enough to be so situated that they can give nearly all of their time to the work. If we keep on the way we are going, there is little doubt that much good will result, but the surface of the problem would hardly be scratched. Those of us who live in large cities are overcome by the reflection that close by hundreds are dropping into oblivion every day. Many could recover if they had the opportunity we have enjoyed. How then shall we present that which has been so freely given us?
It's not the first time he's used the word oblivion. Remember 2 weeks ago we read the doctor's opinion, not the doctor's experience. Now we're getting the recovered alcoholic's experience, and he's using words like oblivion because he knows I get words like oblivion.
We have concluded to publish an anonymous volume setting forth the problem as we see it. We shall bring to the task our combined experience and knowledge. This should suggest a useful program for anyone concerned with a drinking problem. Of necessity, there will have to be discussion of matters medical, psychiatric, social, and religious. We are aware that these matters are, from their very nature, controversial. Nothing would please us so much as to write a book which would contain no basis for contention or argument. We shall do our utmost to achieve that ideal. Most of us sense that real tolerance of other people's shortcomings and viewpoints and a respect for their opinions are attitudes which makes us more useful to others. Our very lives as ex-problem drinkers depend upon our constant thought of others and how we may help meet their needs.
The alcoholic, when we're still drinking, we have constant thought of ourselves. And this is the contrary to behavior. We're not a program that says don't drink one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. You ever hear that in a meeting? Oh, today was white knuckle day, but I made it 1 minute at a time. I didn't drink. That's not what our program says. It says we have constant thought of how I can show up, how can I help someone, how can I serve, what can I do? And guess what happens? We don't drink. We have our 24-hour program says we live 1 day at a time. We absolutely insist upon enjoying life, the stream of life, packing everything we can into the stream of life. If I'm white knuckling, I know there's guys in here that are white knuckling and ladies that are white knuckling, and that's okay. It just means you haven't done the steps yet, and we're going to do the steps. If you're white knuckling it, at the end of the day, if you judge the end of your day, if your day is a success or not, whether you have had a drink or not, that's awesome, fine. But if you're 3 years sober and you're still judging the end of your day as a success because you're not drinking, you might want to come in then and start doing the work. Because at 3 years sober, I'll guarantee you, man, there's so much more. If you're still just white knuckling the drink, you've missed something. And come on in, get a sponsor, it'll take you through these steps. And that's what he's talking. My very life as an ex-problem drinker depends upon newcomers coming in. We used to have a saying, I used to hear it a lot, and don't hear it much about it. The farther I'm away from my last drink, the closer I am to my next one. Anybody ever hear that? How do you stay close to your last drink? You know what you do? You got a guy sitting in the passenger seat of your car with I have this cool little bucket. It sits right here. You can push it on your chest, and it gives just enough room to vomit in, right? And take a guy to detox, man. You say things like, that was a good one, man. How are you doing? Huh? What is that? I think that was the gin. Right? But they don't care. They don't remember. But you get them to detox, and you get them out, and you get in the car, And you can smell it and go, been a long time, man, been a long time. You know, we don't know if he's going to get better, but you look up and go, thank you, God, been a long time. I was in, all right, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry for that description.
Very descriptive. You may already have asked yourself why it is that all of us became so very ill from drinking. Doubtless you are curious to discover how and why. In the face of expert opinion to the contrary, we have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind and body. If you're an alcoholic who wants to get over it, you may already be asking, what do I have to do? It is the purpose of this book.
What did we decide what came first, book or the meetings? The book. So it is the purpose of our meetings to answer such questions specifically. Go deep in your meetings. If you're a recovered alcoholic, that's why you're there, to bring something to the unrecovered. Go ahead.
The idea of, you know how you're supposed to say, I'm a recovering alcoholic? It says here recovered.
We don't have the word recovering in this book.
Right.
There's 3 states that we're in when we come in. Unrecovered, recovering, and recovered. This is the story of how thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. That's the title of the book. A recovering alcoholic is somebody who is either in between their drinks. I was a recovering alcoholic for a long time. I'm in between my drunks. Or somebody who's working his way through the 9th step. The 10th step, when we get there, I hope you're all here when we get to the 10th step, because we are going to get the definition of a recovered alcoholic. And I'll give you a tip to what it says. We have ceased fighting anything and everything, even alcohol. It's the 10th step promise. Even alcohol. We have to stop fighting anything and everyone, I think it says. Everyone and everything. Thank you. Anything? Really? Anything? Even the driver who will not go through that yellow light? I can't honk at him? No. Right? That's a recovered. You won't find the word recovering in here. Yeah, thank you. Do you hear that a lot in meetings? My name is Paul. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Yeah. We say, do your 9th step, dude. You can maybe get some more freedom. How free do you want to be? Okay.
I guess I'm confused. Why do you say the meetings, there were many AA meetings before the Big Book was printed?
No, there were many Oxford groups, and there were many
No, there were
gatherings.
many AA meetings.
But it wasn't called-
Non-Oxford meetings were happening way before the book came out.
It was, the man who named it Alcoholics Anonymous is a man named Clarence Schneider.
Yep.
He named it May 12, 1939. The book was out, and the reason, and Bill and Bob asked him, what are you going to call this group? Because Clarence had split off. And Bill and Bob drove up to Cleveland to tell Clarence, no, we're not leaving the Oxford group. Because that's what Bill and Bob didn't want to have happen. And Clarence said, you can come if you want. It was a Thursday night. And Wednesday night was Bob's meeting. And they drove up there, and Clarence said, you guys can come or not if you want. But we're going to call it Alcoholics Anonymous, or AA if you'd like, because we're going to talk about the book. Because we want people to know what we're talking about. And that was the first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, Alcoholics Anonymous Foundation is June 10th, 1935, when Bob gets sober.
But there were, we can.
Yeah, we're going to get into semantics here.
There's a lot of meetings separate from, in New York, Bill broke off way before that.
Yeah, you're right. But what were they called?
They were just drunks.
Just drunks getting together.
But they were meetings.
Yeah.
They were meetings just like one drunk working with one drunk. That's a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous.
You got it. I agree, but we were formerly AA when Clarence named us AA. I like to do it with guys just like, this tells us what we're supposed to be talking about in our meetings. It tells us. It's a book club. Alcoholics Anonymous is a book club. And if you got a favorite book, I read this book, Time for Mercy, and there's book clubs. If I'm going to go to the Time for Mercy book club, I'm going to bring my book with me. Now it's gotten away. We have open topic, open discussion. You have any number of meetings of AA, but the real purpose of AA is for a recovered alcoholic to come and share how he recovered, how he got his spiritual awakening. It really is not for the newcomer who's 3 days sober to get up and share and tell us, because what he's going to tell us is drinking sucks. That's what the newcomer does. And people who aren't working with newcomers like that. But if you're already working with newcomers one-on-one, you don't like it when newcomers talk in meetings. I'll talk to you in the couch room. I'll talk to you at my house. I'll have you over for dinner. Because all you're going to share with me if you're in your first couple of weeks of sobriety is, I blew up my life, my wife is gone, I lost my job, I lost my car, I got pregnant, all the stuff. There's no solution there. It's my job to tell him I know what he feels like, I know what he's going through. I've been there. Yeah, and also tell him he'll probably drink again. And chances are you'll probably drink again. And then I get into this book with him. Does that help, Jeff, or do you want to argue some more?
No, I think it's your meeting, and I'm gonna let you drive it.
Okay. Where are we at, Vic?
It is the purpose of this book to answer such questions specifically. We shall tell you what we have done. Before going into a detailed discussion, it may be well to summarize some points as we see them.
Thanks, Becky. Jeff?
All right, how many times people have said to us, I can take it or leave it alone. Why can't he? Why don't you drink like a gentleman or quit? That fellow can't handle his liquor. Why don't you try beer and wine? Lay off the hard stuff. His willpower must be weak. We could stop if he wanted to. She's such a sweet girl. I should think he'd stop for her sake. The doctor told him that if he ever drank again, it would kill him. But there he is, all lit up again.
Anybody tell him these things? Yeah. How about when my wife, what were you thinking? She once asked me, what were you thinking when you were going into those places in the bar when you thought of me? And I was like, who? And you are who? I mean, really, yeah. Yeah, I better not get caught. Yeah. Should I write down my lie? Which I did, yeah. Now this is, go ahead and read the next paragraph. We're going to go.
Now these are commonplace observations on drinkers, which we hear all the time. Back of them is a world of ignorance and misunderstanding. We see that these experiences refer to people whose reactions are very different from ours.
Big word, reactions. We're going to talk about reactions when we read Spiritual Experience tonight. Think about that word, keep it in, how I react to life. Now, what is the only requirement for membership in Alcoholics Anonymous? Desire to stop drinking. You do not have to be an alcoholic to be a member. Everybody is welcome. At Marco Island, we used to have remember the food addict was coming in. And she'd say her name and that I'm a food addict, but I have a desire to stop drinking. She had fantastic shares. Yeah, I haven't seen her in a while, but it was very interesting. She had a desire. She wasn't an alcoholic, well, I could gather, but she had great shares, and she was more than welcome to be here. She had a desire to stop drinking. Now we're going to get 3 types of drinkers. When I'm working with the man, I want him to pay very close attention to these 3 and what they're all about. Because on page 60, we get asked a question on page 60 of which one of these drinkers are we. Go ahead.
Moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have good reason for it. They can take it or leave it.
Any moderate drinkers here tonight? Okay. They're in your meetings.
Number 2, there are a certain type of hard drinker. He may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair him physically and mentally. It may cause him to die a few years before his time.
Listen closely to this one.
If a sufficient strong reason, ill health, falling in love, change of environments, or the warning of a doctor becomes operative, this man can also stop or moderate.
How about that? Not only can he stop, he can also start drinking somewhat normally. How about that one? All right.
Although he may find it difficult and troublesome, and may even need medical attention.
So the hard drinker ends up getting DUIs and broken marriages and ends up in treatment, ends up in detox, ends up in front of judges. It looks very much like a real alcoholic. So he gets the same problems, goes to treatment. Okay, let's read about the 3rd.
But what about the real alcoholic? He may start off as a moderate drinker. He may or may not become a continuous hard drinker. But at some stage of his drinking career, he begins to lose all control of his liquor consumption once he starts to drink. Here's the fellow who has been puzzling you, especially in his lack of control. He does absurd, incredible, tragic things while drinking. He is a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
What's that called today? Bipolar. That's the definition of bipolar.
He is seldom mildly intoxicated. He is always more or less dangerously drunk. His disposition while drinking resembles his normal nature but little. He may be one of the finest fellows in the world, yet let him drink for a day and he frequently becomes disgustingly and even dangerously antisocial.
Can you guys relate? All right.
He is a positive genius for getting tight at exactly the wrong moment, particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept.
It's a great spot to stop when you're working with a guy one-on-one and start talking about his drinking. Huh? How about the time you showed up at your daughter's wedding, drunk, so drunk you couldn't walk her down the aisle? All these things have come up, you know. That big business deal, that almost there. I got a load of stories about, like, you're drunk now? Now you're drunk? This time you're drunk? Holy cow, what are we gonna do with Paul? Let's get him, you know, put him over here, put him over there. Yeah, can anybody relate? Anybody show up drunk at like the worst time? Anybody show up drunk at a good time? Like, oh, we're glad you're drunk. Oh, what a break. Jeff, you're drunk. The party's here.
Particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept. He is often perfectly sensible and well-balanced concerning everything except liquor. But in that respect, he's incredibly dishonest and selfish. He often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes, and has a promising career ahead of him. He uses his gift to build up a bright outlook for his family and friends, and then pulls that structure down on his head by a senseless series of sprees. He is the fellow who goes to bed so intoxicated he ought to sleep the clock around. Yet early next morning he searches madly for the bottle he misplaced the night before.
Sounds like he's insane.
If he can afford it, he may have liquor concealed all over the house. To be certain no one gets his entire supply away from him to throw down the waste pipe. As matters grow worse, he begins to use a combination of high-powered sedative and liquor to quiet his nerves so he can go to work. Then comes the day when he simply cannot make it, and he gets drunk all over again. Perhaps he goes to a doctor who gives him morphine or some sedative with which to taper off. Then he begins to appear at hospitals and sanitariums.
So did you catch it? The chapter is called There Is a Solution, but he's really laying it out for us. And he's really giving us an opportunity when we're reading this one-on-one is to start talking about these moments, this past. And I find, because my past is littered with these moments, that I just have to share a few of them. And my last drunk is a good one. And guys open up and they'll start to trust me. And they'll start to feel like, oh, dude, you know, after a few years, we look pretty good. I mean, because of my humility, I really can't brag about it, but man, I'm a good-looking dude. And I'm super fun to be around. And listen, it wasn't that way. The best is Kevin Slattery just said, "You're a fat, disgusting pig when you drink." You know, and I like to tell guys that. And you know, you too could look like me someday. Go ahead, Chuck.
This is by no means a comprehensive picture of the alcoholic, as our behavior patterns vary. But this is a description should identify him roughly. Why does he behave like this? If hundreds of experiences have shown him that one drink means another debacle.
He's talking about the allergy that Silkware's talking about, that you can't, I mean, to prove it over and over again, you pick up one, we have no idea what's going to happen.
With all its intended suffering and humiliation. Why is it he takes that one drink? Why can't he stay on the water wagon? What has become of his common sense and willpower that he still sometimes displays with respect to other matters?
Here's Harley Elanon puts it, what is wrong with you? Anybody ever have that question? What is wrong with you? Especially when we're hungover, we just kind of want to be left alone. You know, like, when are they leaving this house? Don't you guys have somewhere to be? You know, and then they have to come in and go, what is wrong with you? Yeah, I know it is. Hey, listen, I think the first time that was posed to me was around age 6, long before my first drink. Teachers and parents are like, and brothers are like, what is? I mean, maybe my kids. Eventually, it's going to be to my own kids. They're like, what is wrong with you, Dad? It's like, it's like, yeah. Guess what? The next chapter 4 is going to say exactly what's wrong with you. Yeah.
Not mental.
Yeah.
Perhaps there will never be a full answer to these questions. Opinions vary considerably as to why the alcoholic reacts differently from normal people.
Circle that word, reacts.
We are not sure why. Once at a certain point is reached, little can be done for him. We cannot answer the riddle. We know that while the alcoholic keeps away from drink, as he may do for months or years, he reacts much like other men.
Circle that word, reacts.
We are equally positive that once he takes any alcohol, whatever, into his system, something happens, both in the bodily and mentally sense, which makes it virtually impossible for him to stop. The experience of an alcoholic will abundantly confirm this.
I come home, I had a long period of sobriety, and I come home at 6 a.m. I told her I was going to be home at 6. We never defines p.m. or a.m., but I walked in at 6 a.m., and she said, "You're drunk." She said, "Everything was going so good." Yeah, and there I come in drunk again. And I said, "It's still going good. I took a night out." You know, they get it. It's like the captain of the Titanic. "Don't worry, we've just stopped for ice. Everything's fine." And she's saying, "No, the ship's going down, dude, and I'm getting in a lifeboat." And I'm there giving it more gas. "No, we're going to give her more gas, baby. Don't get in the lifeboat just yet. We'll be fine." But listen, that's it. So I can remember she had this, she slept in a t-shirt, and she had this smiley face that said, "Life is good." You know why I know that? Because this is where my eyes were. Like this. And then she asked me 2 really hard questions. You guys know what they are?
What's wrong with you?
No. Where have you been? And who have you been with? And I said, "What's with the 3rd degree?" You think husbands should know and feel happy to tell their wives where they've been and who they've been with? Yeah, not us, right? At 6 in the morning. Go ahead.
These observations would be academic and pointless if our friend never took the first drink, thereby setting the terrible cycle in motion. Therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers in the mind rather than in the body.
Remember page 4 of the doctor's opinion? The alcoholic drinks because he likes the effects produced by alcohol. It gives me a sense of ease and comfort. That's why I'm drinking. It works. So therefore, why do you put the drink in you when it comes to disaster? Because I'm seeking ease and comfort. It's my soother. I know I'm going to get a couple hours. Sit at the bar. I'm a guy who sat at the end of the bar, do shots and beer. And then who knows where the night went. But it, like that moments at the bar with the news on or the sports on or whatever it was, leave the phone away. Tell I'm going to need the phone in a minute, an hour or so. I'm going to need the phone, right? A couple of drinks, and then I got to go, man. Who knows where we're going, but I got to go. Joey, can you relate?
Yeah.
Can you relate? What is wrong with you? Joey's never been asked that ever.
All right, these observations would be academic and pointless if our friend never took the first drink, thereby setting the terrible cycle in motion. Therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers his mind rather than his body. If you asked him why he started on the last bender, the chances are he will offer you one of 100 alibis. Sometimes these excuses have a certain plausibility, but none of them really make sense in the light of the havoc an alcoholic drinking bout creates. They sound like the philosophy of man who, having a headache, beats himself on the head with a hammer so that he can't feel the ache. If you draw this fallacious reasoning to the intention of an alcoholic, he will laugh it off or become irritated and refuse to talk. Once in a while, he may tell the truth.
Yeah.
And the truth, strange to say, usually that he has no more idea why he took the first drink than you have.
Can you guys relate? And when you're working with guys that's a real alcoholic, I got no idea, man. I got no idea.
Some drinkers have excuses with which they are satisfied part of the time, but in their hearts they really do not know why they do it. Once this malady has a real hold, they are a baffled lot. There's the obsession that someday, somehow, they will beat the game, but they often suspect they're down for the count.
Did you catch that word obsession he just threw in? Definition of obsession: a thought or an idea that cannot be removed by another thought or idea. I can swear off drinking all I want. I can fight it all I want. But as soon as the picture of the bar, the bartender, the beer being pulled, Leinenkugels, anybody know what Leinenkugels is? It has a canoe, the yellow canoe coming back, all of a sudden my tongue is hanging out. And at the end, it was just like, just go, man, we're gonna drink anyway. There ain't no stopping it now. Well, I could hold it off for a few days. I could hold off my cocaine use by saying, if I don't do it today, tomorrow will be better because I'll have one more day clean, you know, when you take that first line. All right, it gets you going, yeah. That's the only way that I could make it through a day was by saying, tomorrow it'll be better if I just don't do it. And then sure enough, tomorrow there I am. Yeah.
How true that this is. Few realize in a vague way. The families and friends sense that these drinkers are abnormal. But everybody hopefully awaits the day when the sufferer will rouse himself from his lethargy and assert his willpower, power of will.
Anybody ever been called weak-willed? You know, if you had any willpower at all, you wouldn't drink. Anybody ever had that? Like alcoholics are weak-willed? I don't think there's any more of a misstatement that you can make. It takes an incredible amount of will to drink and drug the way we drink and drug, to suffer the way we suffer, to go to the places, to go into the neighborhoods we go into, the bars we go into, the risks we take. I'm telling you, man, it took a tremendous amount of willpower for me to drink and drug the way I was drinking and drugging. So lack of will is not my problem. We're still waiting for a solution, aren't we? Wish this guy would get to it.
The tragic truth is this man be a real alcoholic. The happy day may not arrive. He has lost control. At a certain point of drinking of every alcoholic, he passes through a state where the most powerful desire to stop drinking is of absolutely no available. The tragic situation has already arrived in practically every case long before it is expected.
Best description or definition of an unrecovered alcoholic right there. That it has already arrived in practically every case long before it's expected that to stop drinking is absolutely no avail. I'm an unrecovered alcoholic. I will drink again. Anybody ever told think the drink through? Huh? Do you hear that one in meetings a lot? Play the tape through. Think of the consequences. I had one sponsor telling me, think of Kathy. What's the worst moment? I said 3 in the morning. I come home at 3 in the morning. It's just terrible. 3 in the morning. He goes, good. Next time you think about a drink, I want you to think about 3 in the morning. 3 in the morning. So I said, I go into my office, and I'm thirsty and stuff, and I go, okay, I got to do what he tells me. Think about 3 in the morning. Okay. He said, play the tape through. So okay, I go to the bank. I leave here. I have an office. I go to the bank. I got to take a withdrawal of cash. I need a lot of cash for my flavors. So I got to go get a lot of cash, and then I go into the Cove is where I like to go drink, and that's kind of a fancy bar. And they got Leinie Kugels, and then I got a Jameson, and the bartender's kind of got something. That bartender, and then I do these. I'm trying to. Some of you may know the story better. But anyway, and then pretty soon I'm like, oh, gotta go to the bank. And off I go, and I'm sitting at the bar going, that's as far as my tape goes, man. That's like, God, that sounds like fun. Every part of it, I liked it. Why would I get to 3 in the morning? There I am, crawling into bed at 3 in the morning going, oh my God, I can't get here. Think the drink through, play the tape through. If you hear that, if your sponsor tells you that, get a different sponsor. He's probably a hard drinker. That's who can think the drink through. Remember I said, the hard drinker, he goes to treatment? They hear that in treatment. Think the drink through. Let's do a list of consequences. Let's do a breakup letter to alcohol. Anybody ever do a breakup letter in a treatment center to alcohol? Yeah, it's not me, it's not you, it's me. You'll be better off without me. like somehow I you know what I mean? Like this is gonna work. Like that's it. Oh good, I'm glad I broke up with alcohol. Right, but I'm unrecovered. I'm just an unrecovered alcoholic, and some of the worst places I've been is as an unrecovered alcoholic, not drinking or drugging. That's when I really did weird things. And it got really weird. And thank God I picked up a drink after many years without a drink. I'm really glad I picked up a drink because it revealed to me exactly where the root of my problems were. All right, I don't know how I got off on that tangent. Here it goes. Here's what it says about think the drink through.
The fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscured, have lost the power of choice in drink. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. We are without defense against the first drink.
Anybody ask what their drug of choice is? Huh? This says there is no drug of choice. It's what's your drug of no choice. What's the drug or the booze that as soon as it pops in your mind, it's over. It's an obsession. This will not be removed by picturing Kathy, by picturing my children, by picturing my boss, by picturing the police, by picturing the credit card that comes back. They say, I'm sorry, this one was rejected. And then you got to say, oh, bank screwed up again. I can't believe it. Yeah, right. Right? It couldn't be me. All right? What is your drug of no choice? If you can smoke pot, take it or leave it alone, then good for you. Then stop smoking pot. I dare you. Yeah. But all those drugs that I was doing, all that stuff I was doing, always brought me back to the bar. I'm a bar drinker, periodical, beer and a shot of Jameson, please. And that's what, I tried all the things to avoid that. I always ended up in a bar drinking. So that's my drug of no choice. Who's 3? Myra? All right. Thanks, Jeff.
The almost certain consequences that follow taking even a glass of beer do not crowd into the mind to deter us. If these thoughts occur, they are hazy and readily supplanted with the old threadbare idea that this time we shall handle ourselves like other people. There is a complete failure of the kind of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on a hot stove. The alcoholic may say to himself in the most casual way, "It won't burn me this time, so here's how." Or perhaps he doesn't think at all. How often have some of us begun a drink in this nonchalant way, and after the third or fourth pounded on the bar and said to ourselves, "For God's sake, how did I ever get started again?" Only to have that thought supplanted by, "Well, I'll stop with the 6th drink," or "What's the use anyhow?"
Can you relate? He's talking about real alcoholism, not hard drinkers. Hard drinkers don't make a plan. We make a plan. I'm stopping after 9. No moderate drinker has ever said, I'm doing 9 and only 9. Yeah. And have you seen the size of our drinks?
When this sort of thinking is fully established in an individual with alcoholic tendencies, he has probably placed himself beyond human aid, and unless locked up, may die or go permanently insane. These stark and ugly facts have been confirmed by legions of alcoholics throughout history, but for the grace of God, there would have been thousands more convincing demonstrations. So many want to stop but cannot. There is a solution. Almost none of us like the self-searching, the leveling of our pride, the confession of shortcomings, which the process requires for its successful consummation.
The steps.
But we saw that it really worked in others, and we had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we had been living it. When therefore we were approached by those in whom the problem had been solved, there was nothing left for us but to pick up the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We have found much of heaven, and we have been rocketed into a 4th dimension of existence of which we had not even dreamed.
Bill talks about this 4th dimension a lot. So, does anybody know, there must be 3 dimensions beforehand, right? He's talking about his reaction to life. So here, this is a bad pen. There's another one in the, I think it's, I'm going to try to do my best. Okay, so here's one dimension, is physical. Physical, fair enough?
Yep.
Here's another, oh look at that, terrible. Emotional, all right, I'm going to try to tell you. How's that sound? I'm going to tell you. So physical, emotional, and logical. It's the way most everybody makes a decision. Think about your own buying experience. You're going to go buy a car. I'm an emotional buyer. I like the color. It goes fast. I look good in it, right? Brian, you know what I mean. Yeah. That's why I buy it. The logical guy, what's the gas mileage? What does insurance cost? What's my monthly payment? Not me, baby, man. Where do I sign? Can I get it today? Can I get it today? How am I going to explain this one to my wife? Right? Physical. Will it harm me? You know, what am I going to do? So what is rocketed into the 4th dimension?
Spirit.
Thank you. Spiritual. Bill is talking about, in order for me to remain sober, I must react to life on a spiritual dimension. I must take the spirit into mine first. And here's the question. What would God have me do? So now when you're looking at the car, or I'm making decisions, or I'm making decisions based upon my family or my business, or boom, I take all the other 3 into consideration, but number 1, the 4th, that I've been rocketed into is, what would God have me be? What would God have me do? It's actually going to be in one of our prayers, our fear prayer. Direct my attention to what you would have me be. Not to what would make me happy or safe. Guess what? A lot of times, when I'm making 12-step calls, I go into dangerous places now. Sober. And my wife has said, I wish you wouldn't go. Huh? I know, I wish you wouldn't pick him up again. Remember the last time he tried to stab you in the eye? Why is he calling you again? Huh? I do take people with me. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, someone else to get stabbed. Yeah, I know. Stab Mike, yeah. Yeah. No, I agree though. You should take someone. It's really a good idea. I don't need to take
Because I
someone.
got in trouble one time. This girl was with me and she was so ossified that she had no idea who I was. You know, when you just turn that,
Yeah,
and you know, that was very dangerous.
Yeah.
She's looking at me, she has no idea.
Yeah, we're just-
She's going
yeah.
and
12-step calls, is what we're talking about. 12-step calls are much better with 3 of you, 3 or 4 of you. You know, three recovered alcoholics, maybe 1 recovered, 2 recovering. Sitting down with an unrecovered. I bring sponsees with all the time. I'll bring my sponsor with. I'll call anybody. Hey, I got a 12-step call. I got a wet one, or we got a guy that's just out of detox or coming out of treatment. Let's go sit and talk with him. You know? And I'm the kind of guy that calls his wife first, or his kids. Maybe a child called me, an adult child said. I'll get all the information, you know, and then start laying it on them. Right? So it's beautiful stuff though. 12-step calls are really beautiful. So rocket it into a 4th dimension. How are you going to watch yourself? How do I make my decisions? You know, do I make decisions based upon what people will think of me? Am I seeking people's approval? That's a comfort. That's a soother. Will you please approve me? Okay? Continue.
The great fact is just this and nothing else, that we have had deep and effective spiritual experiences.
Okay, that's us. So that's an asterisk. Go to 567. Grace is going to lead us here. Let's wait for everyone to get there. Okay, you ready? Yep, we're ready.
Over here.
Yep, nice and loud.
The term spiritual experience until spiritual awakening are used many times in this book, which upon careful reading shows that the personality change
Sufficient.
sufficient to bring about recovery from
Alcoholism
alcoholism has
manifested.
manifested itself among us in many different forms.
He's talking about the psychic change Silkworth was talking about, the manifestation. Manifestation is what I become as a result of. And what these men, Silkworth was watching, they manifested them into sober men. And that was the psychic change. They reacted based upon a spiritual basis. And Silkworth couldn't believe it. Keep going.
Okay. Yet it is true that our first printing gave many readers the impression that these personality changes or religious experiences must be in the nature of sudden and spectacular upheavals. Happily for everyone, this conclusion is
Erroneous, thank you. So he's talking about Dr. Bill's experience versus Bill Wilson's experience versus Dr. Bob's. Bill, white light. Boom. They didn't want us to think that that's the only way we're ever going to get sober. So now he's starting to talk about Dr. Bob. Still thirsty, but not drinking.
In the first few chapters, a number of sudden
Yeah. First, sudden revolutionary changes.
revolution
You got it.
changes are described, though it was not our intention to create such an impression many ac- ac-
Alcoholics.
alcoholics have nevertheless concluded that in order to recover, they must acquire an immediate and overwhelming God
Consciousness.
consciousness
Yeah.
followed at once by a vast change in feeling and outlook. Among our rapidly growing membership of thousands of alcoholics, such transformations through frequent
Yeah.
are by no means that well. Most of our experiences are what the psychologist William James calls the educational variety.
Listen closely to this next.
Because they develop slowly over a period of time. Quiet, often friends of the newcomer are aware of the difference long before he is himself.
I start to hear things like, "You really," instead of "What's wrong with you?" "You're really, what are you doing? Something's changed in you." Huh? Guess what I'm not doing? I'm not throwing golf clubs on the golf course. I'm not swearing as much. Huh? Although, and then I show up and I'm quiet at family functions. Are you sad? No, I'm like, you okay? Yes, yeah, gosh, well, they like it, but they're not quite sure yet. Right? Okay, I think we're at he finally.
He finally realizes that he has undergone and profound alteration in his reaction to life.
Did you hear the word again? A profound alteration in my reaction to life. Why does, remember early in this chapter, why does he react this way? What is wrong with him? Now we get, all of a sudden, he's not reacting. Boy, I thought you'd be mad after that, right? Boy, we went to our son's soccer game and my son got screwed on a call. And I said, boy, he's not yelling at the ref. He's not undressing the ref. How about that? That's a profound alteration, by the way, for me to sit in and guess who's really grateful for that? My son.
that such grown and a profound alteration in his reaction.
Yep, you're doing good, life.
Reaction to life, that such a change could hardly have been brought about by himself alone.
How long does it take to do the steps? Grace is about to tell us.
What often takes place in a few months could seldom have been
Accomplished.
accomplished by years of
Self-discipline.
self-discipline, with few have
Exceptions.
exceptions. Our members find that they have taken an
Unsuspected.
unsuspected inner resource which they presently identify with their own
Conception.
conception of a power greater than themselves. Most of us think this awareness of a power greater than ourselves is the
Essence.
essence of spiritual experience.
Girl.
Our more religious members call it God
Consciousness.
consciousness.
Did you catch? Unsuspected inner resource. God is dwelling in each and every one of us. And that's a surprise. I thought, because of what I've done, that I wasn't worthy, that I was evil. If you knew what I'd done and where I had gone and who I'd been with, there's really something wrong with me. I'm the one saying, what's wrong with me? And then to find out that deep down inside of me, we're going to read about it when we get to We Agnostics, is my loving creator. It's called the conscious. And we're going to talk a little bit about that next week, about guilt and about how I am separated from my creator that's dwelling in me. I'm separated because of my unreconciled sin. I am guilty of sin. Does anybody ever feel guilty? Really? Why? It's not a feeling. No, guilt's a fact. Anybody ever gone to a judge and he sends you to feeling guilty? No. What's he do? What does he do? He tells you you are guilty and I sentence you to. See, what's happening with my consciousness that's dwelling deep in me is I am guilty because of my sin. I am separated myself from. And my consciousness sentences me to feelings of guilt, which are shame for me. You'll have your own. Mine are shame, regret, and remorse. And it gets dark. And what takes away shame, regret, and remorse really fast? Shot of Jameson and a line of Kugels. Couple of shots. If you had my job, you'd drink too. You know, if you knew what kind of day I had today, you'd understand why I'm here doing what I'm doing. You know, a couple of shots, but in reality, it's all my own making. All my problems are my own making. We're going to get to that too next week. Okay, you know where we are, Grace? Because I don't.
Most
Yep, most empathetically.
empathically,
Yep.
we wish to say that any alcoholic
Capable.
capable of honestly facing his problems in the light of our experience can recover, provided he does not close his mind to all spiritual
Concepts. Beautiful.
concepts.
He's talking about doing the inventory. If you're willing to do the inventory honestly and really get down to our turnarounds, which we'll talk about later, you have a very good chance of recovering. Keep going. He can only.
He can only be defeated by an
Attitude.
Attitude of
Tolerance.
intolerance or belligerent
Yep.
denial.
Denial. Belligerent denial. You know what that is, Grace? Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's when they say, you should do this. And I go, no, I'm not. That's belligerent denial. Contempt prior to investigation. You're going to read that to us in a second. Keep going.
We find that no one need have difficulty with the spiritually of the program, willingness, honesty, and open mindedness are the essentials of recovery, but these are
Indispensable.
indispensable.
That means we can't go without them, right?
That's true.
And yeah, that is true. Okay.
There is a principle which is a bar against all information, which is proof against all
Argument.
arguments, and which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting
Ignorance.
ignorance. That principle is contempt prior to investigation.
Amen. Herbert Spencer, huh? Thanks, Grace. Myra?
Go, Gracie. Good job.
They didn't clap for you, Jeff. You notice that? They didn't clap for you.
What's that?
They didn't clap for you.
She's much more beautiful.
That's real.
Myra?
That we have had deep and effective spiritual experience.
We're on page 25 again.
Okay.
Which have revolutionized their whole attitude toward life, toward our fellows, and toward God's universe. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous.
The central fact of our lives. Remember our priority list? What the central fact of my life is God. You know, God, not Kathy, not kids, not job. The central fact of my life.
He has commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do by ourselves. If you are as seriously alcoholic as we were, we believe there is no middle of the road solution. We were in a position where life was becoming impossible, and if we had passed into the region from which there is no return through human aid, we had but two alternatives. One was to go on to the bitter end, blotting out the consciousness of our intolerable situation as best we could, and the other to accept spiritual help. This we did because we honestly wanted to, and were willing to make the effort. A certain American businessman had ability, good sense, and high character. For years he had floundered from one sanitarium to another.
His name is Roland Hazard.
He had consulted the best-known American psychiatrist. Then he had gone to Europe, placing himself in the care of a celebrated physician, the psychiatrist Dr. Jung, who prescribed for him.
Freud wouldn't see him, by the way.
Though experience had made him skeptical, he finished his treatment with unusual confidence. His physical and mental condition were unusually good. Above all, he believed he had acquired such a profound knowledge of the inner workings of his mind and its hidden springs that relapse was unthinkable.
Jung prescribed him what works with hard drinkers, and he worked with him for a year. So he hadn't had a drink in a year, free from any physical need for it. But Jung knew that he was up against, he didn't know, but he was up against a real alcoholic. So somebody asked him, he left Switzerland and went to Paris, and someone asked him a bad question. Would you like something to drink? And he did. He didn't get to the U.S.
Nevertheless, he was drunk in a short time. More baffling still, he could give himself no satisfactory explanation for his fall. So he returned to this doctor whom he admired and asked him point blank why he could not recover. He wished above all things to regain self-control. He seemed quite rational and well-balanced with respect to other problems. Yet he had no control whatever over alcohol. Why was this? He begged the doctor to tell him the whole truth, and he got it. In the doctor's judgment, he was utterly hopeless. He could never regain his position in society, and he would have to place himself under lock and key or hire a bodyguard if he expected to live long. That was a great physician's opinion. But this man still lives and is a free man. He does not need a bodyguard, nor is he confined. He can go anywhere on this earth where other free men may go without disaster, provided he remains willing to maintain a certain simple attitude.
He's a recovered alcoholic. By the way, Roland is who goes to court to get Ebby out.
Some of our alcoholic readers may think they can do without spiritual help Let us tell you the rest of the conversation our friend had with this.
Remember our
with his
page
doctor.
5 problem? Remember? Bill swore off drinking. Shortly afterward, I came home drunk. That's Roland has a page 5 problem. Now listen closely. Young is going to say, I've heard of. He's never seen a real alcoholic recover. He's going to tell us he's heard of certain instances.
The doctor said, "You have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. I have never seen one single case recover where that state of mind existed to the extent that it does in you." Our friend felt as though the gates of hell had closed on him with a clang. He said to the doctor, "Is there no exception?" "Yes," replied the doctor, "there is. Exceptions to cases such as yours have been occurring since early times. Here and there, once in a while, alcoholics have what are called vital spiritual experiences.
Now they ask us to read again. We're not going to read it again, but when I work with a guy, they give us a second different reason. First one was fully explained, but we have got time restraints tonight. And then this reason is for amplification. So if you get a chance, read it again and see if you don't turn it up a little bit, the spiritual experience.
To me, these occurrences are phenomena. They appear to be in the nature of huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. Ideas, emotions, and attitudes which were once the guiding forces of the lives of these men are suddenly cast to one side, and a completely new set of conceptions and motives begin to dominate them. In fact, I have been trying to produce some such emotional rearrangement within you. With many individuals, the methods which I employed are successful, but I have never been successful with an alcoholic of your description.
A real alcoholic.
Upon hearing this, our friend was somewhat relieved, for he reflected that, after all, he was a good church member. This hope, however, was destroyed by the doctors telling him that while his religious convictions were very good, in his case it did not spell the necessary vital spiritual experience. Here was a terrible dilemma in which our friend found himself when he had the extraordinary experience, which, as we have already told you, made him a free man. We, in our turn, sought the same escape with all the desperation of drowning men. What seemed at first a flimsy reed has proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given us, or if you prefer, a design for living that really works.
That's a step 2 promise. If you seek this like a drowning man, anybody ever drowned? Anybody ever been underwater? You'll do anything to get air. If you seek this like a drowning man, guess what'll happen? You'll find God. If you'll do everything, if you put it number 1 in your life, man, number 1 in my life is God, consciousness, seeking God. You'll be shocked before you're halfway. You will be shocked before you're halfway through it how God will take care of you.
The distinguished American psychologist William James, in his book Varieties of Religious Experience, indicates a multitude of ways in which men have discovered God. We have no desire to convince anyone that there is only one way by which faith can be acquired. If what we have learned and felt and seen means anything at all, it means that all of us, whatever our race, creed, or color, are the children of a living Creator with whom we may form a relationship upon simple and understandable terms as soon as we are willing and honest enough to try. Those having religious affiliations will find here nothing disturbing to their beliefs or ceremonies. There is no friction among us over such matters. We think it no concern of ours what religious bodies our members identify themselves with as individuals. This should be an entirely personal affair, which each one decides for himself in the light of past associations or his present choice. Not all of us join religious bodies, but most of us favor such memberships.
I'd like to discuss with my guy, was he baptized? Are you confirmed? What are your past religious associations? You're going to get a lot of resentment, a lot of confusion, a lot of anger, a lot of cynicism, but that's okay. Plant it in your mind, because you're probably going to want to talk about it. Could we go back to that faith, and could it be different for you? That was my experience. My faith that I was brought up on, once I got into the step work, really became a different faith. Boy, it was a different faith altogether.
In the following chapter, there appears an explanation of alcoholism as we understand it, then a chapter addressed to the agnostic. Many who once were in this class are now among our members. Surprisingly enough, we find such convictions no great obstacle to a spiritual experience. Further on, clear-cut directions are given showing how we recover.
How it works, the chapter.
These are followed by 42 personal experiences.
Here's why we read the stories.
Each individual in the personal stories describes in his own language and from his own point of view the way he established his relationship with God. These give a fair cross-section of our membership and a clear-cut idea of what has actually happened in their lives. We hope no one will consider these self-revealing accounts in bad taste. Our hope is that many alcoholic men and women desperately in need will see these pages, and we believe that it is only by fully disclosing ourselves and our problems that they will be persuaded to say, yes, I am one of them too. I must have this thing.
Did you catch that in that paragraph? Desperately in need. Is my guy desperately in need? Is he stage 4 alcoholic, or is he stage 3? You know, that doesn't mean you have to lose everything to be desperately in need. It can mean desperate in need is different stages. So I love to give this assignment because it meant so much to me. And you have a space here in your book, so you can write this assignment down in your book, because that way when you're working with guys, it'll remind you that this is where this assignment. We read each individual in his personal story is described, I'm 2 paragraphs off, his own language and from his own point of view, the way he established his relationship with God. So I was given this to do 5 people. If we're lucky here, we'll get a handful of people that will do this assignment this week, and you can share with us. You want to find somebody you think is spiritual, holy, I don't know, holy is such a weird word. Help me out. Connected. What? What? Spiritual. Okay, can we just say spiritual? So I want you to go up to that person. I had to find 5 people. I had a week to do it. 5 people say, Jeff, I think you're spiritual. Right? I think you're spiritual, man. I've heard you share in meetings, or maybe we're not, maybe Jeff's not in AA. Maybe he's a grandfather, or you're so much older than me. That's why that came in. Jeff, I find you spiritual. How did you get there? Is question number 1. How do you stay there? Is question number 2. So Jeff's and then I shut up, and I have my notepad. I was told to keep my notepad, and I write notes down. You know, Jeff said, well, something tragic happened in his life, probably, or something happened that brought him into an AA. They might talk about their own alcoholism and drug use. You know, how did you get there, and then how do you stay there? You've already paid the person a big compliment. It's a scary assignment because you got to go up to guys, but you know, who wouldn't want to be called, hey Don, I think you're spiritual. You go, hey. Then you got to do this. You got to go. Practice that. All right, and that's our assignment for this week. This is a very interesting assignment. So I hope that if you're doing it, I hope you'll share with us next week. Get up and share with us the person. We're going to ask you why you picked them and what they had to say. All right? 5 people, just 1 or 2. It'd be great if you just find 1 or 2. How did you get there? I find you're spiritual, connected, or you're connected to God. I like your spirituality. How did you get there? And then how do you stay there? Okay? Any questions? Sorry we went so long tonight. Jeff took a long time to read.
I'm slow.
Can we say the Serenity Prayer? Close with that, please. We forgot that last week. I got home and I went, oh no. Thank you, Grace, for volunteering. Thank you to those who brought the food. Yay! Thank you very much. And to the readers. And how about the people who set up this room? Mike, do we need any help? Does this stuff have to go down? Leave it as it is. Thank you to everybody who helped set up. Next week we're downstairs again. Mike, next week we're downstairs again. Look at your reaction to life. That's all right.
Come on, Peggy, join us.
Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Keep coming back.